conscious coon killer, killing the coon within me and the coon within you. Now, just kind of a quick question, thought that I had, because I hear a lot of black women saying how they feel that black men prefer lighter complected black women over darker complected, or even, I guess, medium complected, even though nobody ever brings up, I guess, medium skinned people, all dark.
Basically, mulatto, black men, meaning dark skinned men, they find mulatto women more attractive to black women. Let's separate the shit.
Skin, light skin, all that shit to me sounds ridiculous, but if you're gonna say it, you know, there's medium hues too. But my point is, y'all know I ramble, but a lot of black women say that black men prefer light skinned black women over dark skinned black women, right? And something I've noticed a lot is that a lot of black women that I know personally,
keep in mind, this dude that's talking is dark skinned. He's not light skinned.
That are, would be considered light skinned, dark skinned, whatever, say all the time how they think dark skinned men look good. And I hardly ever hear these women saying this about lighter skinned men, or hear them saying that they prefer dark skinned men, or even the whole term tall, dark, and handsome, right?
And yes, a lot of this actually has a reason to do with the fake pro-black shit, the fake wokeness. It has to do with the the black community being a dark skin supremacist community. It has to do with light skinned people not having an identity for themselves because they had it stolen from them. There's a lot of factors that play into that. But this is a dark skinned guy, and he even noticed this. He made this video years ago. But check what he says.
All dark and handsome. I never heard anybody ever say tall, light, and handsome before, right?
And they also have an obsession with trying to humble light skinned men and through humiliation. Or talk about black women. And they pretty much, dark skinned men don't even really need to even diss light skinned men. They got these retarded light skinned broads and these black broads on autopilot. They don't even got to really say nothing. They think it's cool to do that and say that about young light skinned boy. They do that. They on autopilot, pretty much.
And men, or I hear them saying that they prefer dark skinned men, or even the whole term tall, dark, and handsome. Right? Tall, dark, and handsome. I never heard anybody ever say tall, light, and handsome before, right? And it kind of got me thinking back to a couple years ago. I remember at work, I had overheard this lighter complected woman on break one time talking to her friends about something about her daughter, because she was showing a picture of her daughter to some of the co-workers, and they're like, damn, girl, your daughter looks just like you, da-da-da. And she was kind of like, yeah, I know, like, kind of, like she was disappointed. And then, like, they picked up the tone. They were like, what's wrong? They're like, yeah, don't get me wrong. I love that she's my little twin, but I wish she was a little darker. And they're like, what? Like, I'm just kind of, I mean, we were all sitting at the same table, so I wasn't really eavesdropping, but I wasn't in the conversation per se. I was just sitting right next to him, so, I mean, I couldn't help but to hear him, you know what I'm saying? So, she was just like, yeah, her dad is real dark skinned, like jet black, and I thought for sure she would be, darker than me, but she came out the same complexion, and I wish she was darker, all this type of stuff. She was just disappointed, and she was saying how she would always, prefer or kind of tend to mess with darker skinned black men over lighter skinned black men for that very reason, on top of she just personally looked at darker skinned black men as being better looking, right?
Which is not natural, and that's really a new thing for them. But let me say this, a lot of this also comes from, like I said, number one, the lack of identity that they have because they got it stolen from them. And also, let me say, the black community is a pit. All right? The black community is a pit. And I got that from this guy who, I'm going to react to him. I talked to him last night. He talked about how the black community is a pit and it's a trap. And we know the black community is a dark-skinned supremacist community. All right? We're two different ethnic groups of people, and we're forced into one ethnic group. So it's kind of like, by default, light-skinned people, just by the integration of the two groups, it's kind of like light-skinned people are in their house, so they have to follow dark-skinned people's rules. And most light-skinned people, unfortunately, don't want to separate from them. or at least a lot of them just don't even know where to go. So they have to follow dark skinned people's ideologies by force. Um, I also noticed how I brought this up before plenty of times about the pathology between the two people, light skinned men and women, are completely different. But dark skinned men and women are very similar. All right, don't let them lie and say they like themselves. They love dark chocolate men and women. They don't. They're cut from the same cloth. But when it comes to men, the light skinned men and women, it's a complete disconnect. Light skinned men are made fun of constantly for loving themselves. Something that dark skinned people wish they could do, which is love themselves, love their reflection, actually look in the mirror, you know, actually love and take care of themselves. Um, versus light skinned women, they don't like being light skinned. They wish they were darker. They want darker kids, etc. Light skinned men are not like that. Light skinned men even date white women, so they don't even mind if their kids come out lighter. But with the women, it's like they have to overcompensate for the lack of not of feeling inadequate. You know, um, you gotta answer the mind of a man and a woman is completely different. Women are insecure by nature. People don't like to say it, but it's just the truth. They wake up and look in the mirror every day and they find something to feel inadequate about. So if you take that on top of light skinned women not having an identity, but all other groups of women on the planet Earth having an identity for themselves, it's going to have a huge psychological effect. People lying about their history is going to have a psychological effect. Um, but even this dark skinned guy, he noticed the self hate in light skinned women and just how black women are biased towards darker men. But in this case, it wasn't really naturally. I don't think that her attraction towards dark skinned men is organic. In this case, I just think that she's just looking for ethnic or racial validation from dark skinned men. Like I heard a lot of light skinned women say that before they prefer to date darker men because they're more racially authentic. That's why you light skinned dudes have to stop calling yourselves black because you will never be a status symbol and you will never ever be the actual black man. Because when you think of somebody who's black, you're going to think of somebody who's dark brown to dark or to black, damn near. You will always be third fiddle or even probably less than that. So you have to eliminate that term, all right, the umbrella term, and go by something different like mulatto, which what light skinned people have been throughout history. Mulatto just means light skin or light brown, Negro. That's all it means.
That's kind of thinking like, damn, like in my personal experience, I just gotta state that I'm like, damn, yeah, I really don't hear a lot of black women of just whatever complexion really big up light skinned men. I'm like, most of the times I ever hear black women, whether they be light skinned black women, dark skinned black women, whatever, talk about light skinned black men is when they're talking shit. Once again, whether this be like,
And let's keep it a buck. Like a lot of black women, they think that's cool or that's like some type of cool thing to do because dark skinned women have made that a trend for them to do, and dark skinned men have made it a trend for them to do to down light skinned young boys and emasculate them. Black women also don't have an attraction towards Asian men, white men, Hawaiian men. But notice they don't go out their way to publicly humiliate those men. That's why I find it very odd that they keep going out of their way to harass these men. That's how I feel like a lot of dark skinned women, they generally just don't prefer darker men. They may lie, try to act pro black, but I don't feel like it's genuine. Sometimes it is genuine, but a lot of them don't. But they're just trying to um, destroy light skinned men's value. And keep in mind that light skinned women are dark skinned women's minions. All right, light skinned women want to be black women, not from a physical standpoint, from an essence standpoint. And it's not necessarily their fault. It's just due to the integration between the two groups. But light skinned women, since dark skinned women do it, light skinned women think it's cool to do that. You know, so they follow trends. Like I say it all the time. They're groupies. They follow trends. They don't follow what they like. They follow trends. That's just another topic for another day. But this dude is dark skinned. He's noticing. And this video came out like 5 years ago. So it's a while ago.
skinned black men or excuse me, light skinned black women or dark skinned black women talking about light skinned black men. They be talking about how they're weak or they're feminine or they're bitches whatever. Like
And notice how a lot of them are saying that because they have been indoctrinated into dark skinned people's ideologies. All right. That if dark skinned men and women think that light skinned men are weak and frail, who cares? They're supposed to. That ain't even y'all group. But you're not supposed to be walking around saying that. And a lot of light skinned women may say that because, like a lot of light skinned men, let's give it a buck, they may feel that light skinned men failed them. You know? They may feel that they didn't get enough attention from light skinned cats. Because light skinned cats in this society, they've had a lot of people who go against them and work together to against them. The higher uppers, they get off on trying to humble light skinned men in this society through media, pretty much through everything. All right, you can just it's not doesn't take a rocket science to figure this out. All right, but yeah, it's very interesting, and also let me play this real quick.
this, right? And like, oh, I don't want to fuck with light skinned black men. This is what I've heard from light skinned and dark skinned black women. I'm like, damn. So I kind of got to thinking though, because I hear a lot from these same black women, and just other black women just online as well as women that I know personally, talk about how all these black men just want light skinned black women. They don't really mess with dark skinned black women.
It goes both ways, like it goes both ways for sure. But like I seen this guy, I forgot the guy's name. You know, he does content, and he look up a video by the name of "Why Don't You Like Dark Skinned Women." It's that guy, that black guy, look like Tasha K. I don't know why he remember me of a male version of Tasha K. He just does, and he has dreads. And he did a video with somebody, maybe it was his uncle or something, and he was talking about this even back in the '90s about how light skinned women were obsessed with dark skinned men and dark skinned people, and they will always go out of their way to avoid light skinned men. And they were asked, like he even said, every light skinned chick you ever see me with, I never approached them. He said I never approached them. And then they would ask them why they didn't like their own group of men, and they would say the same shit they say today: too handsome, too pretty, you know, just typical shit. They were just basically physically intimidated by their own men, and they felt more comfortable around unattractive darker men or unattractive men. Period. So you light skinned cats don't feel that you're doing something wrong. This shit has nothing to do with you at all. It's just unfortunately what we're not we're a very physically attractive group of men. And I think light skinned men and women y'all can sometimes be physically intimidated by each other. On top of that as well. But this is something that I forgot. I'm gonna try to find that video. All right. But let's keep.
I'm thinking like, damn, is it so much that black men only want light skinned black women, or is it that black women of whatever hue just prefer dark skinned black men? You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost as if some black women are trying to imply that they have no choice in who they date and who they end up in a relationship with. Excuse me.
But yes, that's like when you see a woman with a certain complexion of a man and she does it over and over again. Sometimes, not all the time. A lot of times that's on purpose. Not all the time. Some women they really don't get approached by light skinned men, and they want the attention from light skinned men. So but they go about it the wrong way by trying to insult them, and that's not how you're going to get his attention. All right, but a lot of times women they control who they reject and who they don't reject. You know, so a lot of times they do that purposefully. They did a certain skin complexion of a man. They do that on purpose. All right.
In a relationship with, or who they get married to, have kids with, whatever, right? As if they just have no choice over these things. It's just, oh, well, you know, nobody's hollering at me, and I just, for whatever reason, can't approach a man. So I just, I'm a dark-skinned black woman and nobody wants me. But a lot of these women I know have been in relationships or they're currently in one. And it's like, okay, I've seen the pattern of the kind of men that you've been with, and they've all been dark-skinned men.
Yeah, and it's weird because they only date dark skinned men, and when they on the internet bashing black men, they're not talking about light skinned men. They're only gonna include light skinned men when they have an agenda that they want to push. Like this trend of humiliating light skinned dudes is not anything new. It's been around for 50 plus years, probably even longer than that. It's always been like that for the most part. you know, this is not a new trend. Like they've always done that for the most part. But these females are talking about their bad experience with dark skinned men, not light skinned men, because they don't mess with us. But it's funny because they won't be specific, because that's how you know they have some type of agenda that they're trying to push. Because if they was being honest, they would just be specific. They would say dark skinned men did this, that, the third to me. All right, but they just say black men and they try to include light skinned men, even though they don't even view light skinned men as real black men, no way. And there's no such thing as black, but you get what I'm trying to say.
And I've also heard you talk shit about light skinned men. So I'm like thinking to myself, like, these are just that some, not all, that some black women that I personally know are just, as well as black women that I, you know, see talking or I communicate with online or what.
And I seen this guy in the comment section on this video. He said that it's because dark skinned men brainwash black women into thinking that way. I agree with that, but it's not just dark skinned men. You giving them way too much credit. Dark skinned women are the ones who brainwash that as well. All right, believe it or not. Also, dark skinned men also have the help of other groups of men, like white men, higher upper white men who are trying to promote this through media. It's not just them by themselves. That's why I say you light skinned dudes, y'all dealing with some real problems. All right, as far as being persecuted, it's not just y'all think it's just dark skinned men. Yeah, and it becomes a trend when black people say it, because they make things. People of color, we make things funny and shit, so they gonna just repeat it just because. But y'all actually dealing with a bigger demon here. All right, as far as being persecuted and being harassed through media and through social media and shit. It's people who are giving these people the platforms to even promote these stereotypes about y'all. So, and I actually got a video I'm going to drop. I'm trying to find, I'm not drop. I'm looking for it, and it's this basically this black girl who's basically, she's in a relationship with a light skinned cat, and she's clowning this dude, and she could have just been scorned because he made her mad. But I want to react to that, and she was telling light skinned women to come get their men because she don't want them. Like, it was crazy. But he wasn't in the car, but the baby came out light. She had the baby in the back. And she was a light skinned baby, but let's keep going.
Whatever, is that they just prefer darker skinned black men over lighter skinned black men, or is it just that black men, I guess specifically dark skinned black men, just prefer light skinned black women? I'm like, which is it really? Because some lighter skinned black men that I know have said that they've gotten clowned by black women when they approached them and they've hollered at them. Like I said, I've heard black women say that they look at light skinned black men as being ugly or being.
And it has to do with the gangster stuff too. That's really what it is. It's the gangster programming, the hip hop bad boy persona that, even though light skinned men are, they the ones who really started that. It's just that they got options. They don't have to do that. But didn't Ice-T make that popular? They gangster rapping, talking stuff. A lot of stuff come from light skinned dudes. Started that. But let me get
and bitches or whatever. So it's just kind of like, damn, what is it really? Like, what is actually, percentage wise, what's really going on? I'm not saying it ain't both, but what is more so really going on? Because it can't just be one side when you're talking about couples. You're talking about dating culture, right? If women didn't want to be with a certain complexion of men, they would just curve all of them, right? Just something to think about. I'll let y'all marinate on that, but yeah, I'm about to go ahead and bounce.
And before I leave out, it's actually a video I just watched. with Charleston White, and how he said basically he don't view light skinned women as real black women. He had a fraudulent slip. And he said, we never pimped on real black women, dark skinned, nappy head women. We pimped on light skinned yellow hoes and mulatto girls. Them ain't, that's what he was saying. So we definitely need to get out of that black term. But I'll see y'all on the next one. Just some content.